You know, Jesus shows up in our lives in many, many different ways. Sometimes he shows up in the things that are simple, and sometimes he shows up in the things that are miraculous. But when Jesus shows up, things happen. When Jesus shows up, he brings people together. He will bring people into your life to work miracles in your life, to bring you things that you need, to show you the blessings that God has for you, and to often give you a word of inspiration, a word of encouragement, a word of direction. That's what happens when Jesus shows up and when he comes to you. When Jesus comes to you, he will also give you what you need. When Jesus comes to you, he'll give you everything that you need. I always say, Jesus gives you everything you need and some of the things that you want. And so, because God is so intimately concerned about all of our needs, and because God has promised through the Gospels, through the words of Jesus Christ, to provide for our every need, we know when Jesus comes to us, he'll give us everything that we need. But when Jesus comes to us, he will also show us his power. He shows us who he is. And he does this in different ways. Sometimes he will show us by simply making things happen that could not happen by any other method other than the power of God showing up. I had a recent experience where I needed to purchase something for our worship service on Sunday. I went everywhere I knew to go to find it, and I went into one store and asked for what I wanted. And I heard a voice over my shoulder saying, "How much do you want to pay for that?" I turned, and it was a gentleman just standing there. He said, "I have one of those." And it was a radio transmitter, so we could do our outdoor service and broadcast in people's cars so they wouldn't have to get out of their cars and would be able to remain safe and social distance. And so, I kind of took it with a grain of salt at first because I knew there were several other places I was going to try to go and see if I could find it. But I took the man's number. Later on, I ended up calling the gentleman because I couldn't find it anywhere. And the gentleman said to me, "I have it. I'm going to see if it works, see what I can do with it, and I'll call you back." He finally called me back, and we met up that evening, 9 o'clock at night, at a gas station so that he could give me what he wanted to give me, and I could make the exchange and give him his cash. When I got there, he said, "I'm not worried about the money." He said, "If it meets the Lord's cause, that's what's most important." I realized at that moment that Jesus had shown up. Jesus had come to me in my time of need and provided for me what I couldn't find in any store. How, you might ask, could Jesus send somebody at that particular moment in that particular store where I was looking for something that had exactly what I needed? Long story short, it worked phenomenally in worship, and our service was a blessing to everyone who participated. That's what happens when Jesus comes to you, when he shows up and he shows out and he does the miraculous. That was a miracle that only could happen by the hand and power of God. God led that man to the church. Later on, he said, "I'm not concerned about your paying me. I just want God's purpose to be fulfilled. I want his cause to be met." He said, because God put us together. That's a miracle. That's what happens when Jesus comes to you. Has Jesus come to you lately? Has he shown up in the challenging or even the simple things in your life? I think we all need to take the time to focus our attention on the things that happen to us in our lives that make evident and plain to us that Jesus is trying to speak to us and that he wants to show up in our lives. Jesus wants to show up for you. He wants to show up in your life this week. He wants to show himself mighty and show himself strong so that he might be a blessing to you. I pray that you will open your eyes in such a way that you won't miss Jesus when he shows up for you.